Hello. I think I'm live. Just always like to have a little check, but I'm not exactly sure how exactly it works on YouTube, to be honest, because normally I do go live in Facebook a lot, but there I am. I think I am live in YouTube. How exciting! A new home. So I tend to just upload videos in here. And I wanted to have a little play with going live and just seeing if anybody turns up live and what this platform is like for this kind of content. And what I really wanted to share with you today and what is on my heart to share is my journey off anxiety medication and how I built my own wellness toolbox and where that kind of started and what kind of things I've put into my wellness toolbox. So if you are watching live, I would love to know. I would love to have a little comment and a little dialogue with you if you're watching live. That would be amazing. So just drop a little comment. And of course, if you're watching replay, which I know many people will on this channel, then do drop a comment as well. And you just let me know if this resonates with you. You know, it's a personal subject, but I just do believe it's affecting more people than ever. You know, the last 18 months, 2 years that we've all been through with COVID, like things have just blown up in terms of anxiety and fear. And obviously what we see in the news and the media is feeding that fear. And so my advice is to protect yourself against that as much as possible, not by kind of like hiding and burying your head in the sand or anything like that, but just watching what you're consuming. So in terms of how you might watch what you eat, because that goes into your system and affects your, you know, we are what we eat, we consume it, we take on its energy, we take on the feeling of it. The same with what you're hearing and what you're seeing. You know, we take it in and we just don't know the ramifications and the repercussions of that. So I very, very rarely watch the news if it's on in the background or something like that, but I will not seek it out and go and look what's going on, because it's generally like bad news. It's generally depressing. It's generally fear mongering. The journalists and the news people and the people that want to grab our attention, they know what works and what grabs our attention and makes us go, oh, what's going on there? And it's like murders and killings and deaths and, you know, look at the cases, how they're ramping up and things like that. And it's just not good for us. So yes, we might need a little bit of awareness so we can keep ourselves safe, but most of us get way too much exposure and way too much fear pouring into our psyche. And then we wonder why we feel like anxious and worried and possibly depressed, you know. So just be careful what you're consuming. So having said that, just to tell you a little bit more about me, if you don't know about me, I would love for you to subscribe to this channel. It's not even 100 strong at the minute. Imagine being here in the first 100. This channel is hopefully going to grow and serve many, many more people. But my journey is from an anxiety background. So I just don't even remember when I wasn't anxious. You know, like as a child, I just remember being like having to be really good because I didn't want to be told off, being kind of anxious, shy, worried about what people thought about me, not being able to like step up and speak my truth, and ask people to play with me as a child and stuff like that, just because I might get rejected. Like why would they want to play with me? What might they think about me? And God forbid if somebody said something to you at school, you know, like they do, like, you look fat, or, you know, your eyebrows are not right, or your mascara's rubbish in high school, whatever it was, and all those things were said to me, then they just went deep into my soul and like hurt me and wounded me way more than perhaps sometimes other people, because I was like a sensitive child. And I do see that, you know, in my family as well. So I really work hard to build their confidence and to build their self-love from an early age, because it's difficult to see other people going through it when you've been through it. And like I struggled for many, many years, and I just didn't know like where to turn, what the answers were. So in my 20s, I found yoga, and my wellness toolbox now is at least 50 tools, possibly more, but I've got 50 documented tools that I want to share with everybody. I'm not going to go through each of those today because you will not want to sit here for like 2-3 hours while I go through all of these tools, but I can give you a flavor of how you can build your own wellness toolbox. And the fact is that it's not usually just one answer. So when I was searching for the answers of how to calm my mind and how to calm these kind of feelings inside of me and how to stop this little voice that was like constantly getting on my case and telling me that I wasn't good enough and I wasn't pretty enough and I wasn't brave enough and I wasn't successful enough and I wasn't clever enough and I had all that imposter syndrome going on, the first tool that I turned to was yoga. So in my 20s, I found it a yoga teacher, a yoga class, which I absolutely loved. And as soon as I stepped into that class, that's where I felt at my best, like stepping onto that mat and knowing that this was my thing, because it didn't matter if I could do it the same as anyone else. It didn't matter, you know, if I was as far on as anyone else. It didn't matter who I was. It didn't matter what I looked like none of it mattered. And I just remember feeling this kind of, every time I went to class, like this feeling of like safety and this feeling of love and this feeling that there were no pressures on me in that hour. There were no pressures. There was no like to-do list. There was no expectation to be anyone or look a certain way or act a certain way or say certain things. Like, it was freedom for me. It was like liberation. And that was wonderful for the hour that I was on the mat. But then what happened was, every time I went back to my real life and went back to work after my class, everything just came back in. You know, real life came back in, and I wasn't able to handle real life because it wasn't the same as being on my yoga mat. So it's like when you go on holiday and you have a lovely time and there's no pressure. You don't have to worry about your bills and your finances and your to-do list and everything else and expectations and what people think, because you're on holiday, right? No one knows you. It feels great. And then when you get back off the plane, you're like, oh, it's back. You know, the little demon on your shoulder and the mind monkeys and the anxiety, it all comes back. And we live our life, right, waiting for those 1 or 2 weeks a year on our summer holidays and at Christmas, when we can be our true authentic self and when we can live in our own truth and when we can like take off our coat at the end of the day and just kind of slide down the door and be like, oh my God, I got away with it for another day. Like, I can be me again. And I didn't want to live like that. There was something kind of nagging at me that wasn't how I wanted to live. Like, this can't be all there is to life, right? You know, this is no good. And as I started to delve deeper into yoga, I discovered there are more layers. I discovered meditation and what meditation can do for you when you sit quietly with your thoughts or with a guided meditation every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes. And I discovered breathing and these breathing practices. And there are so many. You can use them for so many different things. And I didn't realize it then, but I'd started to build my wellness toolbox because I was doing a little bit of yoga every day. I was integrating some breathing. I started to do some journaling. I started to kind of make sure that I got outside every day and I did exercise my body and I moved my body, not just on the yoga mat, but walking and maybe going to like Zumba classes and dance classes and things like that because they felt good. So I didn't realize, but I was building a toolbox. I started to study people like Wayne Dyer and Eckhart Tolle and Oprah Winfrey and all of Oprah Winfrey's guests that she has on like Super Soul Sunday and things like that. I started to like reach out for help. I started to go to the doctors and get onto anxiety medication because I didn't want to feel like this anymore. So I was doing all these things, and then I had, because I despite doing all my yoga, my meditation, my breathing, and some of you might think this, you might think, well, I've tried yoga. Oh, if I've heard somebody say to me recently on one of my posts, it's not fair if somebody just tells me to like go outside and go for a walk and it'll all be okay again, I'm going to scream kind of thing. And that's that's the point. Like, it's not a one size fits all. I go outside every day, I get fresh air. But if you do just that and expect everything to be fine, then that's not going to happen. You know, it takes time, and it takes practice, and it takes playing with the different tools that are out there. So I still, despite having a few tools, I still was like not getting better. And I still felt great while I was doing them. But like afterwards, when real life would come back in, I didn't know how to cope. So I went to the doctors and I got on some anxiety medication. Can't remember the exact time frame for this, but it was probably about 4 years ago, maybe something like that. And it was after I'd done my teacher training, and I'd done a real 3.5, 4 years deep, like degree level, 500-hour yoga teacher training with the British Wheel, which had given me so much more insight into what yoga really was, and what yoga was about, which is much more about mindset than just stretching and breathing. It's all towards how to control these thoughts, and the vrittis and the pathways that we have in our mind, and the habits, the habitual thought processes that we've dragged with us since being children, and how to deal with those and how to cope with those. But for some reason, being gone through the teacher training, be doing regular yoga practice, for me, like, it didn't click. And I don't know why, just for some reason, it didn't click into place, and I still needed more tools. So what I did was I reached out, and the doctors sent me to like Cbt Therapy. So I was doing that, and that was useful. Again, it's another little brick in the wall. There was some tools in that which I quite liked. It's quite logical, like CBT. If you're a logical thinker, it's like, right, if you're thinking this, then what's the worst that can happen? You know, follow it through. If you're anxious about going on a car journey, for example, and you're like, oh, I've never been to that place before, like, what might happen? You know, I used to think this in the car. Well, what if I don't know my way, and da-di-da, and what if I get lost, and what if I break down, and all that sort of stuff. And CBT teaches you to think, right, well, we can put certain steps in place. We can make sure there's a full tank of petrol. We can make sure our mobile phone's charged so that doesn't die on us, and we've not got our GPS kind of sat-nav in there that will help us get home no matter what. And we can do those risk assessments to help the anxiety to go, it's okay, we've got a plan. And then you can also think, and then what? And then what? Like, if that did happen, what's the worst thing that could happen? You know, you would ring for help. You would, you know, you'd get out of it. You wouldn't die. Because without that, what we do is catastrophize, and we think, oh my God, we don't logically think it through. So that was really useful for me, but there still was missing pieces. So that's when I reached out for another therapist, and I found a lady called Dr. Leonie Morris, who was just like an angel to me. She was amazing. And how she shared information with me, and the tips that she shared about the mind and the thought processes, and how your thoughts are just thoughts, but how they can trigger our feelings and emotions, and how they trigger all of our feelings and emotions. Like, there are no feelings and emotions that don't come from our thoughts. And there were certain ways that, you know, that was explained to me, or videos that she sent me to watch from her teacher, which I think was Jamie Smart. And he in turn learned from a guy called Sid Banks. And when I traced this back, I started to pore over the videos and to absorb and learn and understand. And then I made the link. I was like, oh my God, this is yoga. Like, it's still yoga. Like, for some reason, this, you know, didn't teach me that this was the key to that bit. So like, the whole journey of yoga is our body, is our mind, is our breath, is our energy, and it's all one. And that can lead us to the road of like feeling enlightened and happy and at peace in any situation, and being centered. But it took quite a few different ways for it to click into place, like click, 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 click. And when things did click, like the Sid Banks training, the 3 principles, like understanding that we are conscious beings, we have a consciousness that allows us to be aware and to watch what our mind is doing. Like, we are not our mind, we are not our hand. we can watch the madness of the mind. And it is a madness. And Eckhart Tolle says, thinking has become a disease. But we can learn to disconnect and detach from that and step back and watch it. And like in a morning, I explained to Leonie at the time, like, I feel really anxious when I'm just having a shower. Like, I'm not even doing it. I'm just in the morning having a shower because I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I'm late? What if I'm late taking the kids to school? Like, I would always think these bad thoughts. And she just, showed me, well, what if you chose a different thought? And I'm like, oh. And it sounds really simple, but it is. Like, it just takes sometimes a different way for somebody to explain it to you. But that's when I started. And then I started to layer on tools that I'd already collected from other places. And instead of now being anxious in the shower's a wonderful experience because one of my tools is essential oils. And I can put a few drops of essential oils in the shower. I use very, very good, high quality therapeutic grade essential oils. They don't have any other nasties in them. They're just pure. And that brand is doTERRA, and I represent that brand now. And I can put like peppermint or wild orange in the shower. I also do a gratitude practice every day, which is so important. So before you let your mind run riot thinking anxious thoughts, I now think, what are 3 things that I'm grateful for today whilst I'm taking my, like a spa thermal journey shower that you may as well be anywhere at a beautiful spa hotel, but you can do that in your own home. And I was like wasting all these years just thinking, what if I'm late? What if the kids are crying? I'm sure I can hear something, and thinking these anxious thoughts for years. And I didn't realize that I was the master of those thoughts. I was still in there, and I could create new thoughts, new patterns, new habits. And so bit by bit, I added into my toolkit. I get outside every day. I breathe. I have a gratitude practice. I use essential oils. I meditate. I make sure that I get enough sleep, and I make sure that I learn how to relax my body when it's feeling tense. I journal. I be careful with things that aren't that good for me. That's not to say that I don't have anything that's not good for me. I'm not one of these yogis that is vegan and doesn't eat meat or just juices and never drinks. I have a little drink. I enjoy a few glasses of Prosecco. Was out Friday night with my neighbours, had a lovely evening. We have pizza and things like that. But then during the week, it's moderation, which is one of the yoga principles. Take things in moderation, balance, the middle path. And that is woven through my toolbox of 50 different tools. And I'd love to go through them all today, but I don't want to keep you that long. So what I wanted to just share with you is then, if you're feeling anxious and if you're feeling really fed up and you've tried different things and you just think nothing works, it may be that you need a unique combination that works for you. And when I work with people, I go through some of these tools after listening to what their problems are and the way that they're struggling. And that could be physically, it could be mentally, it could be both. And we work together to come up with a bespoke package for you that helps you, no one else, because we're all unique and we're all individual. And I've been there and I've climbed out of the pit. And now I have the tools to cope with life. Life's rocky. Life throws grenades at us. It throws rocks and pebbles, and people say things to us, and we worry about what their opinions are of us. And this little voice, it takes training, it takes time, and it takes dedication, but you can do it. I believe in you. And if you would like to work with me, then I do offer a one-to-one yoga coaching package that we can work together and come up with your unique prescription, your yoga prescription, that I can mesh all these different tools. And then you maybe need just 2 or 3 tools. That maybe you're done, you're fine, you're good to go. Maybe you need 5 tools or 10 tools. Maybe you need the whole toolkit. But whatever it is, I'll write you a little plan. You'll take it away, you'll practice, we'll stay in touch. And I promise you it will make a difference. So if you are interested in working with me, then reach out, send me a message. I'd love to hear from you. I've got a few places in September and some in October. I only work with 4 people a month because I do plan the sessions. I do take the time to, listen to you and your needs. We have a consultation. And we do 4 sessions over the month. So I don't want to work with more than 4 people because it wouldn't be fair and I wouldn't be able to give my energy completely and fully into that experience. So 4 people is all I work with each month. If you would like to be one of those, then please do reach out. Let me know. And I would love to help to guide you on your journey back to happiness the way that I have found mine, because there is nothing in life that's more, worthwhile than your health and your happiness. If you haven't got that, you've got nothing. So I hope you've enjoyed this live. Please do subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not already. I'd love to get these numbers up past 100. This content surely is something that people need to hear. So if you've enjoyed this video, please do give it a like. Please do give it a little thumbs up. Please do share it. Share this video out to your friends, to your family, and ask them if they've thought about creating their own wellness toolbox. It's a wonderful thing to do. Write it down, put it on some little post-it notes when you start collecting your toolkit, and remind yourself, because it does take that. It takes a reminder every day. And I have ways to remember to do these things, like habit stacking, linking things with other habits like the shower and doing the gratitude and things like that. So there are ways to just anchor it in and for it to become a habit rather than something that you do a couple of times and then forget about and you go back to your previous samskaras and habits. So if you've enjoyed this video, do give it a like, do give it a share, and please do comment below if any of this resonates with you. And if you want to find a route off medication and you've been struggling, then reach out and I'd love to help. Bye for now.